Welcome into Game Day Scoreboard. I'm your host, Joe Musso. Our first Monday without a NFL game was not without NFL action. The Monday after, always brimming with headlines. Shortly after 8 a.m. in the East, news broke of the Jags parting ways with head coach Doug Pederson. The firing ends a 3-year run in Jacksonville. Pederson going 22-29 with just one playoff appearance back in his first season. It was 4-13, a struggle this year that lands Jacksonville the 5th overall pick in the upcoming draft. The next head coaching hire will come from general manager Trent Baalke, who owner Shad Khan said will be returning next season. On Monday, Khan talked about what went into the decision to let Pederson go.
As the season, progressed, obviously we weren't doing well. We were close, like yesterday, but not close enough to win the game. And then as I spoke to, Doug, even last week for a good length of time, I just came to the conclusion what we were doing was not working. And a change in direction was
going forward. I understand, believe me, that that's not going to be the most popular decision in Giant Land, but we believe it's the right decision for us going forward.
How long will it take to improve the product, John?
It better not take too long, Bruce, because I've just about run out of patience.
No news could be good news if you're Antonio Pierce. Maybe. The Raiders' head man status up in the air after leading Las Vegas to a 4-13 season. Pierce 9-17 across his interim and head coaching stint. That included a 10-game skid this year, but as of now, Pierce still the head man in Vegas. He talked about what he's heard from Raiders brass to this point.
I haven't told anything different.
What, do you want to get that cleared up ASAP, or do you?
It's only coming from the outside. It's not inside the building, so to me, there's nothing to clean up until I hear it from inside the building.
Other news of note on the coaching front, the Bears seeking permission to interview a long list of candidates, both coordinators in Detroit and Cowboys head coach Mike Mccarthy. The Pats have requested some FaceTime with Ben Johnson as well. Saints requesting an interview with Bills OC Joe Brady and Eagles OC Kellen Moore. The Jets putting in a request for 5 additional head coaching candidates. And for more, we welcome in CBS lead NFL insider Jonathan Jones. We usually say thank you at the end, but I'm going to offer one here off the top. A busy day in the life and time, so thank you for all the work, JJ. And with that said, let's go back. Early AM. What was assumed is now confirmed. The Jags moving on from Doug Pederson. Where does the search now begin for Jacksonville?
Well, the search is going to begin with candidates who are interested in working with Trent Baalke, the general manager. It was a bit of a surprise around the league, certainly. Maybe not so much a surprise inside the building, but certainly around the league that Baalke was retained as general manager. And so, look, he doesn't have that great of a reputation. And folks that I talk to who work with him or somewhat close to him, they speak well of him, frankly. The folks who know of him or maybe have worked with him previously at San Francisco, they don't speak well of him. Whatever is true or not, whatever reputation is deserved or not, the fact of the matter is there is that belief out there in NFL circles. And so will top coaching candidates go to Jacksonville? We certainly will have to wait to see about that. Of course, Ben Johnson is going to be highly considered there. That job, I would have to imagine, was looking more attractive to Ben if it was going to be a house clean there in Jacksonville. And so, as to my knowledge right now, I do not believe the Jaguars have put in a permission slip to interview with Ben Johnson. He would then have to think about it, consider it, but he could interview with teams, and he will interview with the Chicago Bears and the New England Patriots later this week. He can interview beginning on Wednesday, and that would be virtually. So we'll see what the Jaguars ultimately can get. I know that there's doubt around the NFL. The top candidates will go there. However, I would say it's 1 of 32, and there's only 5 open jobs right now. And so people can talk tough, Joe, but ultimately it's 1 of 32.
It's always very interesting this time of year when this news comes down. It's easy for a fan to say, go get the guy, but this is really the relationship business, and a very interesting one there. An interesting one in New England, the aforementioned. Gerard Mayo, the tenure, didn't even make it to Monday morning. The way it started, the way it ended, all quite odd. The shortest distance between 2 points being a straight line, JJ, I know I'm not alone in drawing one to Mike Vrabel, but how much value might there be in pairing a young quarterback with an offensive-minded leader like you offered earlier?
Yeah, I mean, look, it's absolutely a thought that I'm certain the New England Patriots are going to explore, and as evidenced by the fact that they are going to interview Ben Johnson. But not only is it a straight line to Mike Vrabel, my goodness, a bit of a short line as well. For the first time in NFL history, a sitting head coach goes to a game that his team is not playing in to be honored for another team's Hall of Fame. That happened when Mike Vrabel was the head coach of the Titans on their bye week, and he was inducted into the Patriots Hall of Fame. Obviously, well-deserved, but quite interesting that took place there when it did. Of course, Robert Kraft loves Mike Vrabel. Obviously, he loves Gerard Mayo, and that's the reason that he made him the coach in waiting there in New England. But he didn't have that sort of plan and preparation that Robert Kraft wanted, especially over the past month or so in New England, to make Robert Kraft feel comfortable about moving forward with Mayo. And so now you have Mike Vrabel, who is, look, you could argue he is the top candidate or the second top candidate. He's one of the top two with Ben Johnson. And everyone that I've talked to believes that this is going to be Mike Vrabel's job to lose, that he's going to immediately bring in a toughness to this team, a sort of culture, game management, so many things that we have all seen from Mike Vrabel during his time and tenure in Nashville as the Tennessee Titans head coach. And so your point of who is going to coach up Drake May, obviously Mike Vrabel not an offensive guy, well, you better have your OC. Could I interest you in Josh McDaniels? A guy that obviously knows the New England Patriots, a guy who is a two-time head coach that has not ended well, right? First with the Denver Broncos. We would almost say secondly with the Indianapolis Colts, whom he left at the altar. But then truly secondly, the Las Vegas Raiders. And that did not end well, and he was fired mid-season. And so I say all that to say Josh McDaniels isn't going to be a head coach in the NFL again. And so, but he wants to coach again. So why not coach somewhere that you're familiar? Why not coach with somebody that you know? And so that's why that pairing would make so much sense, and that is why you don't necessarily, if you are the New England Patriots, have to go with an offensive coordinator as your head coach, because you have your guy who you believe to be a head coach at OC, and you don't have to worry about anybody stealing him because no one's hiring Josh McDaniel as their head coach.
Yeah, safety there and familiarity certainly between those two names. Vrabel then, maybe if it's in front of him, left to weigh why muddy the legacy. You've already been honored in the Ring of Honor, and we'll see what it looks like moving forward in Foxborough. Everybody's safe right now in the Giants facility, sort of. John Merrill retaining his head coach and general manager, immediately followed by clicking that stopwatch. Quote, "I'm about to run out of patience," end quote. Pressure does sometimes create desperation, JJ. How might the ultimatum affect the way that this pair maneuvers this offseason?
Well, I would say this for both of them. They wouldn't, John Mara didn't have to say it. They're not ignorant to it. They can't go out there and go 7-10 next year and expect to come back and be head coach and GM next year. Like, there has to be, and look, maybe it's you just miss out on the playoffs. I don't know that it is a mandate of playoffs or bust necessarily, but you better be competing for a playoff spot week 17, week 18. I don't think there's any question or doubt about that. The biggest question, though, facing Brian Daboll and Joe Schoen is who's going to be the quarterback. And for the Giants, you're picking at number 3 in April's draft. At least you are right now. You have the Tennessee Titans at number 1. You have the Cleveland Browns at number 2. Both of them need a quarterback. And then you're at 3. Well, there's only 2 quarterbacks that anyone would take in the top 3, top 5, top 10 of this year's upcoming draft. We see right there Shedeur Sanders and it's Cam Ward. So that's going to take some doing for the New York Giants. You look in the free agency class, I'll be completely honest with you, once you remove Sam Darnold, who may very well just get franchise tagged by the Minnesota Vikings, if not signed to a long-term contract extension, once you remove a Russell Wilson from the pool, who may return to the Pittsburgh Steelers, who do you have left? You know who the best free agent quarterback who is probably going to be there on that list? It's Daniel Jones. I don't think he's getting signed by the New York Giants, right? And so that's the interesting part that the Giants are in. I'm not saying that all hope is lost. They will figure out a way and maneuver in some way to get a quarterback who is starting week 1 for them that gives both of those men, Dable and Shane, an opportunity to retain their jobs into 2026 and potentially even get contract extensions. How are they going to do it? That's what the money's for, Joe.
Hear me out. 2 years, $90 million, a third year. No, I'm kidding. As someone who might be a little too invested in the outcome in Chicago, it's just me and you talking now. Just forget everything else. The Ben Johnson, Mike Vrabel desires also exist in the Windy City, as we've mentioned, but somewhat surprising request on Monday. The Charter franchise wants an audience with Mike McCarthy. What can you tell us about the latest news piece there?
It's interesting. And around the league, folks find it interesting. Look, Mike McCarthy obviously knows the NFC North, right? From his time with the Green Bay Packers. He clearly knows the Chicago Bears organization. They have a young quarterback. They clearly are leaning toward offense, though they are also leaning toward leader of men. And you have Mike McCarthy, who has helped guide 2 of the storied NFL franchises. One, of course, the Packers, and then 2, the Dallas Cowboys. Not the season the Cowboys wanted, but we're not that far away from 3 consecutive 12-win seasons. You don't just fall out of the coconut tree and win 12 games in 3 straight seasons. That just doesn't happen. And so, Mike McCarthy still got it. Okay, still a good coach. Are the Bears serious here? Do they really want to interview Mike McCarthy? I would say so. Do they really want to hire Mike McCarthy? I don't know that they know that. Is this doing Mike McCarthy a solid? It absolutely is, whether they intend to or not, because McCarthy in about a week will no longer be under contract with the Dallas Cowboys. He and Jerry Jones may very well reach some sort of contract extension for maybe 5 years, though sources have casted doubt that it will be 5 years. Okay. But if you let Jerry know, if you let the Cowboys know, hey, I'm still wanted out here. I know that you guys think that you have all the leverage here, but I'm wanted. Maybe I'm going to be wanted in New Orleans as well, where I was offensive coordinator in the pre-Sean Payton era. Maybe I'm going to be wanted elsewhere if some other jobs potentially open up. And so this is, whether it is a leverage play or not, Joe, it is helping Mike McCarthy with some leverage. Still, sources believe he winds up staying in Dallas, but until they have substantive talks, we don't know that for certain.
The market ever evolving. Jonathan Phones Jones, keep one close because I'm sure we'll talk soon. Here's a look at those current openings. Again, the Bears having parted ways with Matt Eberflus in the midst of their season. Earlier than that, Robert Saleh and Dennis Allen all fired. Interesting when you look at these openings and the quarterbacks in those buildings. The Bears know theirs. Jets do not. Saints, it's a question mark. Pats, they got theirs. Jags as well. Indicative of situation and where those 2 big names might land.